our lecture for this afternoon. There are only very little people coming in. I think how many people do we have? We have only 13%. So we would have go through another round of lecture this week. This will be the last week, okay? So there's one more chapter, and it would be quite challenging because you have to think a lot. You can go to the e-learning webpage. Just go to the e-learning webpage, and then you find that down with a new lecture notes, which is part 12. Okay, so please switch on, open the PowerPoint. So we're going to use a PowerPoint, and then we are going to also show you the Python code, which is on part 12 log lamps and part 12 PDF rule XYZ. Okay, so let me call my PowerPoint lecture notes, so you can open it and download it for your on screen. Okay. So you see on my screen, only 40 people are joining us. So wait for lecture, okay? Okay, so you can see we can begin lecture. Screen something already. Okay. I'm having a new topic today, which is on conversion. Conversion has been done some ago during the test. Okay, test one. A bit on your conversions. Okay, wait. Say something to me. Saying something. So the file 2 of part 12. Okay, so let me open it. Part 12, second. Part 12. This I think the one of our permission is not been the permission on the second file. Okay, so I think this one is done. Maybe this one. Okay, yeah. So this one have gotten to open up. Okay, so you should be able to open the file now, both of the files in the web page. Okay, so you have this IPython notebook file and this another IPython notebook file. Okay. Now, today's lecture is about making conversion. Now, it is often happen that in your study or in the research, you often have files which you obtain and in the original form. And sometimes you want to manipulate the files. make things more complex to you, look at the example. So you find a log file like this. Okay, log lamps. Okay, so you download the file and your computer, open and edit it. Now you open and edit one. For example, this is the log lamps file, which you download it from the link here, and then thing you want, you open it with Word, or you open it with notebook, or open it with Notepad. Everyone has a Notepad. The data files, which is related to a software called LAMPS. Okay, so you can look at the information about LAMPS. I think somewhere here. Here, where is it? Okay, so you can click on this link, LAMPS Sandia National Lab. Click on. You know what is this log LAMPS? It is a software which I material. So what it do is that we use it and run it to do simulations. Okay, so one of the files that is involved in this lab is log, and at the end of simulations are all about the template generated and dumped into this log. And the log lamps or for formatted files, log lamp is one of it. So if you are, say, I think if you are medical physics students, you may want to look at some of the software. Not sure what is this, but maybe some kind of simulation, Gen4 or whatever, where you simulate with your body. And you have these variations, photon, then Linux or whatever. Then this you can do a simulations of how your body interact with this kind of array. Then the simulations will take a lot of data, and you also output a lot of data, and then the output will be in the various forms, some very complicated, some not so complicated. For those who do X-ray photography, you also have many different types of files. Okay, so these are just the output file that I can a lot of information. If I find that some are not familiar, a lot of information of this created region, you do not know what it is, but this is not important. Okay, so say if your lecturers or your supervisors in your final year project give you a task, okay, so you say look at these log lamps, and you look at these log lamps, then you see this number. So these are the output number. We, for example, define basically the steps is just a snapshot. Okay, it's so the steps is like it's at the time, right? At the steps 1000, then you got this set of number, which represent, say, the at the steps 1000, and then temperature is 0, and then the pressure is this much. This is the pressure. Pressure is a of the temperature, atoms, pressure, potential energy at different steps. Okay, so these sections run from step 0 to 5001, and then it begins again the simulations, and then it goes in where the simulation begins 5001 again, and then it gives you this output. Then in the next steps, it runs at 16, and it gives you this number. Okay, so each of these data. Okay, so you have sections of data which has formats. You have 9 columns. So let's okay, I this log lab. Or can you please go for me? Say temperature. Temperature is I think column. Okay, so the first column is steps, second column is atom, third column is temperature. So say you go and check out, and please put me all the columns number 3, and then plot the temperature versus. So these are the tasks that typically will happens in the process of managing similar tasks during your test number 1, right? So in test number 1, in test number 1, I give you a from the data is much simpler because it is all located in an Excel file. But this data is more complicated, right? So it comes in different blocks. So first block, second block, third block. So you have to know and learn how to extract the informations from different blocks. So there are many blocks. So not only block of the data for the second blocks, the data for the third blocks has a different time steps. Okay. So for example, this block ends at times 70,000, and then it be emissions of the output at time step 71,000 up to this block. So there are many blocks. So your job is to extract this to extract the temperature versus steps. So this is the task that we are going to discuss today. Okay. So for and I ask you to plot temperature versus steps, potential energy versus temperature. Okay, so how are you going to do that? Okay. So this is a very general task that is not for exam purpose, but for practical purpose. If you were to involve in some kind of complicated data related job, or when you do some research, manipulate some data from the experiment, or you go to some factories where they have tons and tons of data. They're all in different formats, and your job is to extract these numbers. So there are if you do not know Python, what you do is that you cut and paste all this and then put it into Excel file. Then you use Excel file to help you to extract this information. So that is possible if your data set is, I think you can still manipulate it because the data are not that many, right? So you have to cut and paste the first data, paste it into Excel, then you go to scroll down, and then you cut the second block, and then you paste it into Excel file. And then you keep on doing that for many blocks. Then the columns, and then you print it out, okay? But we're not going to do that. We are going you want is that you want to plot the temperature, which is in the third column, and plot it against the steps. Okay, so you have to, this is what you want to do. So you know this is what you want to do. Then the second thing what you want to do is that you have to be able to extract this data. Now, of course, you know what to do, but if you do not know how to extract this data, then you'll be in trouble. But this data, how do you extract it? So you have to learn. So this is what we're going to do. So what you do is that first you have to read in the data. So you read in all the data from this file, then you read it in line by line. So the first line, you read in second line, then you read in the third line, you read in the fourth line, and you keep on reading. So you have to read all the data into the computer memory. After that, you have to make some extractions. So you have to select. So you want to only select those lines that contain your data. For example, this is the line that you'll be reading, but this is not what you want, right? So now this is also what you would read in, but this is not what you want. So you would like to only start to read in, to identify those lines that you are interested in. So there must be a way for you to control your program such that you can control which line that will be read in, which line that you will not read in. For example, when you read in this one, you say, okay, this is not what I want. When you read in this line, you say, okay, this is what I want. So read in, now this is what you want, you read in. So the strategy is that you have to first do some kind of parsing. Parsing means that you extract those data that you want by specifying some conditions in your computer programming loop. So you have to use a conditional method or conditional loop to extract the informations. So you have to think what are the best strategy to extract those data that you contain, okay? So before you can design a strategy of extracting the data that you want, you have to go through overall the structures of the data file given to you. So you look at all this stuff, then you have to go through it and then look at the general structure. So you find that the data that you want are in the forms of this chunk that is highlighted on the screen like this. Okay, so this is what you want. You want to only extract this number. Those are the number which is not in this block that you don't want it. Then this is also another block that you want to extract into your computer memory so that you can manipulate it. And these are also the blocks that you have to extract. I think there is a total of 5 blocks, 4 blocks, and this is the last block. No, this is not the last block. This is the 5th block, and then this is I think this is a 6th block. Then there's a 7th block. So there are many blocks. So you have to ask yourself, what are the identifiers of these blocks of data? Identifier means that when you look at that identifier, you know that, well, this is the block that I want to read. Okay, there are many different ways to identify these identifier. Different types of data file with different format would have a different identifier. So you have to be sort of like creative in order to be able to extract this. For example, one of the example is that you count the numbers of column. So this is first column, then this is the second column, third column, fourth, fifth, seventh. So how many columns are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So one of the possible way to extract this number is that you see this. You say you are going to read in the data line by line. So the first row, second row, third row, fourth row. So you will say I'll read in every line. After I read in every line, I'll count the numbers of columns in each row. Like for example, you count this. So you read in this line, and then you count how many columns are there. Now this is 1 column, 2 column, 3 column, 4th column. So one words that are all joined together and separated by a space would be considered as 1 column. So what you do is that there one possible way you can do it is you said when I read in the line, I'll test and count the numbers of columns in that line. If the numbers of columns in the line is 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then I will read it. Those data that I read in that has not 9 lines, those that has say 8, those line that has 8 column, or those lines that has say 11 columns, you don't read it. So you hopefully that by doing that, you'll be able to extract all these data that has only 9 columns. But is this a good way to extract the data? Probably not, because there are many other rows which are not, which also has 9 columns, but does not contain numbers. For example, this row contains 9 columns. So if you say, okay, I'll only extract those line that has 9 columns, then probably this line, steps, atom, temperature, pressure, will also be extracted into your code. Okay, so you don't want that. So you have to think some very smart way in order to only extract those blocks of data that you want, like this one. Okay, so the first thing is to design a strategy of extracting only the data that are relevant. Now, once you can extract the data of the relevance, then you can start to do things. For example, once you are able to extract all the data, once you have extracted all the data that are relevant, then you can say, okay, I'm going to extract the third column, and I'm going to extract the first column. Then I'm going to plot the data from the third column versus the data from the first column. So by that, you'll be able to then plot. You'll be able to plot the temperature versus steps. Right. So the whole process of this has to be designed in a proper way. You look at the structure of the data file that's given to you, the log lamps, and then you have to design a strategy to extract only those data that are relevant, and then ignore those data that are not relevant. Then after you have extracted the data of relevance, then you have to extract which column you want into an array. Then you plot the data. Okay, so these are the process that you have to go through line by line. So if you look at this line, click here, you'll be led to a Python script which I just written for you. I think you can click on it. Then I think when you click on it, you'll be downloading these lamps, part 12 log lamps conversion Python. So you get this code, and you can download this onto your laptop, and then you can run it. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use my own versions of the file that I just written. Okay, so my version of the code is this part 12 log lamps conversion. So I'm going to click on this, and this is the code that are going to extract the information from the log lamps, and then going to plot the third column versus the first column. Okay, so so these are all the code that is done. So when you extract it correctly, now you'll be able to get the temperature versus the steps. Okay, so for example, let me show you the data before I show you everything. So this is the steps. Okay, steps is a set of number. Maybe let me do make a copy first. Make a copy. Okay, so I'm going to work on a copied version instead of working on the version that you download. Okay, let me switch on a tab and see if I can do that. Okay, now I run this. It reads in all the data, and then it's going to show me all the plots. Okay, but before we go into the details, I just want to show you this. Now this step ARR are the numbers which I extracted from the log lamps file. So the first column of the log lamp file that contains the steps is 0. Okay, then you have 1000, 2000 to 5001, and then you also have this 5001, 6000. So the last number of the steps is 1800. Well, how many? 18,000. Well, not 18,000. 18,500. No, 18,000. well, 1 point whatever lah. It's 185,001 is the last number. First number begins from 0 to 1000. So I'm showing you this number that I obtained here as step ARR are the values that I have extracted. Okay, so it is this number up to the last number. So given all these files, can you write a code to extract the number of the steps that appears here? Okay, so this is the challenge. Okay, so let us do it one by one. It's not that difficult if you understand the concept, but you must know what you want to do first. Initially, given this one, then you have to extract this information. Once the information of the temperature is extracted, then you can use it to plot the graph and to give you this one. So in order to obtain, for example, this graph of temperature versus steps, not only you need to extract the data of the steps, you also need to know to obtain how to obtain the data for, say, the third column, which is temperature. So if you know how to write a code, extract the first column, which represent the numbers of steps, then you should be able to also extract the third column for the temperature. So once these numbers are extracted, then you'll be able to plot it. So I think in the code that is written here, the column that contain the temperature, I think in this case it's called temperature ARR. So the temperature ARR are this number, so which has been abstracted. So the first number is 0, and then this is 0, this is 0, and then the last temperature that is relevant in this case is, I think, 300. 1,399, 13326. So if you look and scroll down to the very, very last, I think this is the last number, 81906. So this 81906 is 81906 is not the last one. I think it's the second last. So there is some mismatch in the numbering, but it doesn't really matter. So I think this is the one that is shown, 13326. But not 81906. Anyway, the code is not perfect, but it's at least contain most of the data that I want. So I'm going to show you how to extract this data. Okay, so you see, I talk a lot just to make sure that you understand the whole idea, what we want to do. Okay, so you always have to know what you want to do, then only we go and do it. Okay, so if you don't understand the whole picture, then you got stuck, right? People got stuck in the programming very easily if you don't understand what you want to do. Okay, now once you know what you want to do, then let's do it. But you shouldn't just simply do it. Right? You have to know how to do it. So the first thing is that you must read in the data file. This is the first thing you want to do. When you first read in the data file, then you have to understand, now, given the data file, it's actually an array. A data file that reads in is an array, where the first element array is, say, here is lamp. The second element is left bracket 28. Then the third element in the array is July, JUL, and then the fourth element is 2015 column. And then it will go to the next line, and then to read in this again. Okay, so there are actually two. You have to understand that when you read in the data, if you don't say anything, it will just read in the first element in the array, second element in the array. You read up to this element. Then when it goes to the next line, this warning ... is considered as, I think, the fifth element in the array. So what you want is usually in this kind of data conversion, you want to read in the files line by line. Okay, so you say, okay, I want to read in the first line, read in the second line, read in the third line, read in the fourth line, instead of reading it column by column. Okay, so I think we have done this before. We're going to do it again. Okay, so let's see how you do it. So let me open this, and then again I'm going to import. So first of all, I have to make sure that I know how to do the file reading. So I need this. I don't need IPython. I think I don't need CSV as well. So what I need is this. Okay. Okay, so that's how. So the files that I have here is this. This is my file. I call it part 12 log lamps conversion copy. So this file is sitting in my laptop. You can see on the file explorer here. So I'm working on this file called where is it? Part 12 log lamps. So in the same directory, I also can see the log lamps file here. So this is a log lamp file, data file, which I'm going to read in to the part 12 log lamps conversion copy 1. So I'm in this copy 1 here. So what I do is, like I said, I'm going to open the log lamp file. I open the log lamp file, and then I'm going to read it. Okay. So in the open command here, you have to tell the Python what you want to do. So usually when you open a file, you open it so that you can read the file. If the file is a file that has already contained some data. Now, in other occasions, you want to open an empty file so that you can write into it. Right. So sometimes the third option is that you open a file, then you want to append some new content into the file. So there are generally three options when you open a file. You must ensure you must know what you want to do with the file when it's open. So you open it so that you can read the file line by line, or you open the empty file, then you write to this empty file, or you open a non-empty file, but then you want to append some number into this file. So append, you read or you write. So for this case, the log lamps files is the file that you can open independently using a editor. Then you open it and then you read it. So the file that's open is assigned the name open file. Then after you have opened the file, what you do is that you read lines. If you don't say read lines, it will read, well, there are two options, okay? So you can either read lines or you just read. So read lines and read reads give you different things. For example, let's try what happened if you just read the raw data. So I said, I'm open the file for reading, and then I define this raw data command. Then this raw data will contain the output for reading the log lamps files, not line by line, but I think column by column. So you have all this output. It looks okay, but it will be quite difficult for you to manipulate this because this raw data that is shown on my screen here is actually not read in line by line. Okay, so what you do is that you usually want to read in the line, read lines, you print it out. Now you see the difference between open file, read lines, and just reads. You see the difference? Now if you read this one, then what you would do is that you can try to see the difference. Okay, so what's the difference? The difference is that the line that is read here. So for example, let's just print out the first. If you just read the log lamps instead of read lines. So you print out the 0th element in the raw data, then you got only L. Now what is this L? L is actually, so let me show you. The L is actually the first element in the file that you read in. You print out the first string. Now you say you print say 5. Now what do you expect? The 5 refers to the 6th character. 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when you do that, you print out the raw data 5. You only print out a number, a string, which is S. Okay, so the S here comes from the 6 elements in the raw data, which is obtained by reading the file string by string. So this is not very convenient because you don't really want to manipulate the content of the data in log lamps string by string. You want to manipulate line by line. Okay, so what you want is you want to read in the whole line, then you extract the columns, right? So if you only can extract it string by string, then for example, this one is the first string, second string, then it will become difficult. So I hope that you understand the difference. So anyway, what I want to say is that you need to read in the data by using read lines. Yeah. Now, when you read lines, and the second element in the line, see, each of the line are given in this inverted comma. The string /n here means it's the next line. It means that the end of a line. Right? So you look at this one. So the end of the line is this one. So if you have line, for this one, you just say, then you'll be able to print out the third line or the fourth line, or rather, in the fourth row in the raw data, which is the number. So you can actually control which number of line you want to print out. Okay, so you cannot do that if you use the read only. So once I have opened the file, and so you said open file. When open the file is finished done, then you always want to close it. So this is the and you close it. That show me all this number. Okay, so now I'm going to find a strategy to extract the columns. Now, for example, count the numbers of column, right? So you can count the number of column. So say, for example, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have, whereas for how many column it has? It has 2 columns. Okay. So it is possible to count the numbers of column. Say, for example, in order to do that, you have to write a for loop. Okay, so what you do is you write a for loop to run through all the lines. And before you write a for loop to run through all the lines and examine line by line the data, you have to know the numbers, the total numbers of line in the data. So how many lines of data are there? So you can look at original file. So this is the first line, second line. So again, you can on the notepad. If you look on my screen, you see it on the mouse. You see this, the mouse. So you have, if you scroll down, the notepad tells you the numbers of line. Okay, so this is a line. So you see LN1 column 31. If you press Control N, then you go to the last line. This is line 478. So that means there are 478 lines in this data file. Now, if you open another new log lamp, you don't want to count the line as the, and then you do how many lines. So the number is just the length of the raw data. So print out the raw data and Let's see how many lines are there. Okay, so there are 778 lines raw data. So I call this LR. Then I'm going to write. I'm going to print out the raw data line by line. Raw data, the ith element, the data line, data line, raw data. So this is the first line. Then second line is 0. Second line is an. So there's some. Okay, so the first line is this. Second line out these kind of things. Right? The first has a blank, sort of a blank together. Okay. But at least it gives you looks good. So what I want to do next is to print out the length of the raw data. Okay, so the length of the raw data is this. So I'm going to print out the raw data as raw data on the same line. Raw data, one missing. So this is the output. So I ask you to print out the items of I get. So the first line is this. This is the content of the first line in the raw data, and then it's supposed to tell me how many length are there. It's 21, and it's very weird, like 20. So it means I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this line says has 21 in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 length. So this is not good. I'm sure. Separated. Now, let me say it again. I read in the raw data, right? And it seems like the raw data is printed out line by line. Appears to be correct, but it's actually not correct because I expect that when I print out, say, the first line, I expect to see 1, 2, space. Okay, so this is a white space. This is another white space. This is another space. To abstract the not I want to count these stems as well. What I get is white space. So then I have to explain to you again some kind of structure. Okay, so let me see what I'm going to do. Okay, and let's to and okay, this line a statement. I would say a okay. String is defined as this. So I'm going to define this as a string, and then I'm going to do length of the string. The length of the string 4, 5, 6. In string, including the white space. Okay, so the length of this is an AMMP. What you want to do? How do you do that? So the way how you do that is to understand that a single string that is made of this thing is has a structure in it. What I mean, the structure is actually made of this string separated by a JUL, and then between JUL and 28 there's white space. Then you have 28, you have white space, and then you have a WHITE. Okay, so white space. What I mean by that? Then you have a well, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 column, sort of column. So the first NPS. This column which is made of white space. So you can actually pass, call that, well, you can print out the string separately by splitting the string based on the so-called delimiter. So delimiter is this, I think it stands for this. That is meter, but the idea is very simple. Okay, so here, so let me try to here is a white space. Okay, when I do that, I'm going to print out four different column. The first column is lambs. Okay, the first column is lamb. Second column is it. Is so let me press a button. So this is why by that. Okay, the lamb here bracket 28 by a delimiter of space. Then between 28 and July is like this. So by doing, you can then split a string meter. Example is today's date. Split this into the day, the month, and the year. Then what you do? You just so you just say the delimiter is just a slash. So by doing that, you see 16 in one element. I think it's not this. I think it's this and this. The delimiter in this case, I use it as a slash. So slash. Okay, there's one more slash. Something wrong here. Okay, the delimiter should be like this and the slash. Okay, so it's very useful. So you read in the line of a string, and you use the delimiter to the content of the string into separate portions. They can extract the portions. Okay, so for example, then you said, okay, the date or the day is the string split, the first element, right? Then the second is the second element, and then the year is the string which has been split by the delimiter, the third element. Then you say, okay, I'm going to print out day. So that's how you can extract the from a string using the delimiter. So likewise, yeah, you print out the raw data. So for example here, say the data. So I just print out, don't know, let's say let me choose one line. The setting of the raw data is warning and end to this one. Okay, so this is the second line raw data. Okay, so I just call this a sample just to show you the sample. So let me split the sample. So I'm going to sample. I'm going to split it into a few sections. Now, what sections I'm going to, what one, so the default to split a string like this is not specified. When you do not specify anything, then the default is to take the delimiter to be the white space. So white space will be used as a delimiter. So in this case, if you set this in sample string, when you split it without saying anything, it will be split based on the white space. So you see warning, you see this, you see this, you see this, you see this not, you see set dot, you see pen bot until here. Okay, so let's see what happens. Yeah, isn't it? This is what I said. So you can split the data using this. So we're going to use a split to separate the content into all this stuff. Okay, so we're going to apply this by saying I'm going to read the raw data, and I'm going to say raw data. Every line of raw data that is being read in will be split. It will be split into its component, which are separated by a white space. I just call this whatever. I just call this raw data split. LT, okay, whatever I call this, raw data split. Just a name, okay. RDS. So this is representing the raw data line I, which has been split, and then I'm going to print the RDS. So by doing that, all the string will have to be split into its component. Okay. So for example, let's look at this one. Okay. So I can count the numbers of column in the RDS. So for example, RDS number 1. How many members are there? There's 1 column, 2 column, 3 column, 4 column. I print the length of the RDS, and I will see that for the first column, 3. And you print out 3 to represent 3 columns that is contained in the first row. Then in the second row, how many columns should there be? There should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7. Then this one, the third one would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So when I print and press the button, I'll see this to print out 4, 7, 7, and then followed by the other. It's just to specify the length of the row, right? So this is 4, right? 4 means that 1, 2, 3, 4. So by doing that, count the numbers of column in each of. Okay, so but I'm interested in those rows that has 9 column, right? Like for example, this is the data that I'm interested in. The data begins from here. So column. So I would like to say this. Tell me the numbers of column in each row, and if the numbers of each row, if the numbers of column in each row is 9, please print for me. Okay, so by this, I said if the length of RDS is 9, print. So by doing that, I will see only those columns that I want to be printed out. So I expect to see only this kind of number, this kind of line to be shown on the screen. Okay, and those lines that has numbers of column more than 9 will not be shown. So would that be happening? Not sure. I just only those lines column. This contain lines not numbers. Okay, not numbers. So how do I get rid of the lines that are not numbers? Okay, so it would be a kind of challenge. So this is what you have to think. There are many ways to get rid of the line that are not numbered, maybe one way is to check. Okay, so let us check columns. So let RDS. So okay, let me print out the. So the last values RDS from the previous. Okay, run RD. It now RDS line of RDS. Okay. So no. It is. Let me pick a line that is like this. This is a line that is line number 61. So line number 61, I think is because the line number is line number 61. It starts count from number 1. But in Python, we count from 0, right? 61 will correspond to the number of 60. Okay, so when I press this, I'm going to print out the line number 60, which is 16. Okay, I'm one by using the extractor. So I have what I want by looking at. Now my first try to see if I can test on the number of this thing, the shape of this. So I'm not sure what will happen. I'm going to see the type. Okay, so the type of this is to be that the 1497. Okay, so let me print out this one, and then I'll ask, what is this? Is this a number? Is it? So I ask. So I ask the code a float or an integer, but I think it's not. So this is string is not really good. Okay. So now this go to 4. Okay, so whatever sample again. So the sample is this thing. So let me try to make sample and convert it into float. I have to check the type. So the type for the float is then for you. It's still a string. So maybe, for example, 61. So 61 is things, right? It become a say, for example, if I say I have a string SD sample, okay, I'm testing something, okay, I know later what I name. My name is a, so can say sure. That's why I'm going to do here is that let's just look at this as sample, as string str, str sample. Str sample is just a name that I given to the string. I'm going to ask the Python just okay try to convert it into a float. Convert this into before and after I make the conversion. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I define a name called string sample. It is a string. Then convert the string to see whether would I be able to convert a string, which is a string, into a number. Convert a string to a float. Okay, this is what I want to say. You cannot let's say if you have this, I just shown you raw data 60. Raw data 60. This. So the first component so bit 3, the it is a string. Am I right? Can I? Then I call this a name, say whatever sample. So this sample is converted into a float. Print out the type and see whether the sample become. It looks like yes. Okay, so let me finish my story. Now, generally, if you have like, for example, if you have a string like say like this, my name. If you say this is my name, then this is a string. And for such kind of string, you cannot convert it into a float or a number. But if your string is, let us say, -1, 2, 3, 1. Now this -1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that is enclosed in this comma is a string. You can convert such kind of into a float. So converted into a float, but a pure kind of string not be converted into a string. But for this, you can convert into a string. Okay. So what I'm saying is that this is a string, for example. This is also a string, but it is possible to convert this number string into a float. Okay. So one way of doing this is this. You can say that you try to convert every element in a row, every line contained conversions, every line, any line that has column, which are all numbers. Now, you print out this one, string, convert into number, but you can convert this into floats because these are, well, it's a string, but not really that pure because it contains some value in it. Okay, so the strategy number, and after you have convert them into number, you test. If you can convert it, then lines that contain 9 numbers. for this kind of things, where not all numbers, from those lines that contains all 9 numbers. So this is one way to help you to eliminate those lines that are not numbers, but the RDS, which are that contain 9 columns. Not all of them are the data that you want. Some of them are not, right? So one way to get rid of this thing to line into floats. Those lines that cannot be converted into floats can be split up. Only those lines that has converted in, that can be successfully converted into string, then would be retained. Okay, so let me try again. Sample float. Yeah. So this. Now let me just throw this tree away. Okay, when I throw this tree away, it will be a. Let me throw this away. This is a list. Okay, so you cannot convert a list to a float. Now, for example, if you type float, this will work because highlighted here refers to a list that contains 9 strings. Even all of these string numbers, you can't convert it because you can only convert single string. You cannot convert a collections of string. So in order to do that, you have to convert this one by one. So you can convert this, then you become a float. You can convert the second element, then become float. Right. So it is possible to do that by converting all the lines into string one by one. So you can convert this into a string and convert into a float, convert this into a float. So you can write a code to convert all 9 columns into a float, then you get the numbers. And there are cases where you will fail. That is, for this kind of column, where you cannot convert into numbers, then it will not work. Okay, so for those, okay, so this is a strategy which is not very good. Okay, now I'm sorry to waste your time, just to tell you that you can design a strategy that try to convert all these columns into floats and then extract, but these are not a good strategy. Okay, the better strategy to extract the number is a different. It means that years ago when we used Mathematica, it's more convenient, very easy, and then it's easy to distinguish those lines. So in Mathematica, the line that is read in, if it's a number, then it will be displayed as a number. Whereas in Python, a line that is read in through the read lines seems to read in as a string. So if it's even though it's a number, it will be read in as a string. So that is causing a problem. So one way to extract number is using some is that you try to identify those identifiers. One always sandwich between this line and this line. Right. So you go to the next block. So this is a number that you want to extract. It's sandwiched between is always followed by. So you can use term as indicated by the blocks begins, and when you see this, that means the block ends, right? So those line that is located between the steps line and the loop time line will be extracted. So you read the line of these log lamps from number 4th line, second line. So you keep on reading. Then when you see this line, then this is the end of that between the beginning and the end of the those block you until you find another beginning of the block which is indicated by this identifier. Only then you begin to read in. Okay, so this is one very more better strategy. Okay, but anyway, any strategy that will work. Some strategies are smarter than the other one. If you do not know, you can find a way which is not as good but still works, then it still works. Okay, so there's no unique answer as long as it works. So what I'm going to do is that we are going to write a code that will help us to identify the beginning and the end. Okay, so let us look at thing is this: if you read this RDS, and if the first element in the RDS is a string that begins with step SP, then you're going to print out the line this, and the more steps. So this corresponds to line 60. Okay, look at the mouse here. So I will say, if you find of so if the that is for step, then print the line and also the RDS is what RDS line is length. Okay, let me see how this problem is this step. Okay, let me see what is RDS. RDS. Okay, is from here. Okay, let me close this and refresh it again. Okay, so it is going to read in the so the RDS goes to the first row, which starts 0, and then split, then and it then print. If not, then problem. The raw data, the raw data for I0 is, so it should, so first comp of this should be 0. So it looks like it is correct. Maybe I made some stupid mistake here. Raw data I split. Maybe this should be, maybe this. Maybe I should just test if it's data. Identify the line step. Tell me that it is line number 61. Okay, so let's temperature and followed by 61. List, anyone tell me on this index? So I in range split. So it looks like something is not very nice happened. So maybe I should just try again. Just say this the data happen before I proceed on. So this is troubleshoot. Just say I assign RDS and then I read data and split it and then I print out. Yeah, 0. So it should also work, right? So it looks like it's working. So I'm not sure what happened. So it looks like the print out the RDS, no problem. So split it or not, get this. Okay, the first line is this, second line is this, but there will encounter problem. Now, what the problem between this and the dump? So there are empty spaces. There are empty lines. Okay, for example, the line between and lattice, there is an empty line. Now, empty line is empty line. The empty line cannot have an RDS. This line is an empty row, an empty row, 0th element, right? As 0th element. This example, SPT, just empty. If print out the 0th element as SPT, what do you get? You get an error because SPT is having no element in it. So this is to print out the first element. So if it's empty container, you said, tell me what is the first element in the empty container. There's no element in this empty container. Therefore, it has a problem. So if you were to print out the 0th component in the raw RDS, it will not have problem for lines. You would run into trouble. And for will be a line after this thing here, the line become empty, so it cannot print out. So how do we? So it's 420. So my challenge for you, print out because I want line. I would want to test if, okay, it's like this. I would like to say if RDS is, if the first element of is step, then no something. So this is a test statement that will fail if the RDS line has no length, right? So how are you going to avoid this problem? So we take a break for 5 minutes. I'll see you at 4 again. The solution. Wait, oh, I just want to switch on the attendance. Attendance. I'm going to begin and resume our lectures. So I'm going to okay, so we're resuming the lectures. Okay, so let's come back to the lecture notes. The idea is, again, you look at these files, you want to say this, read every line, and then print out the first column or first element in that line. And if the first element in the line is equals to steps, then print and also the line number. Those lines that are empty, skip it. So you have to write additional statements in order to skip a line that is blank. If you don't do that, then it would fail to produce element in line. Because a line that's empty, the zeroth element in that line cannot be defined. Therefore, it runs in error ID, okay, index error. So you have to add in just a very simple line. If a line is empty, then just don't do anything, okay? So you will say this. You say what? You say if. Now, how do you test a line is empty? Now, I think it's very simple. You say if the length of the x 0. I think this is what you mean. If it's 0, then don't do anything. Then skip it. But if you, okay, I think it should be not 0. Now, if the length of the line is not 0, only then you do it. Okay. Then if it's not 0, then you can do this test. And if this test pass, then print out. Okay. So it looks like, yes, by adding this additional error handler that skips the blank line, then you would skip and avoid the error. So this is a crucial point to take care. There are many ways to avoid such error, but this is my way. Okay, best way by way. So when you do a conversions of different format or different problem, and you need to know and learn how to handle these things one by one. If you have a problem, you print out what you want to know how to troubleshoot, find out what's the problem. So if you don't have this line, then you run into trouble. Okay, so here, if you have this if line, if you don't have this line, then you would run into trouble, okay, like this. So we not serious. We have statements. You only go and calculate the zero element if, and not only you print out the line, but also out the steps, print out the line number. Right. Now, what is this 59? This 59 refers to this line number. Now, this line number you read is 60 because it's count from 1 in Notepad, but in Python it counts from 0. So this should be considered as 59 in Python. So now we have identified the line that corresponds to this. So you will, okay, so one 60 is the line where, and when you see the line number is time, start with loop. Okay, so let me try to print out this, the line number that corresponds to loop. Now, how do you print out the line number? Is 59. This will be 62, 63, 64, 59, 59, 60, 61, 62, 60. Should expect to see. So I'm going to do this. If the is loop time LOOP, then I have to print. Okay, so print out the loop number. So it should be 867. Okay, loop 67. So this is loop 67 and line number 67. Okay, but the last line is this. It's not 7, it's 66. Right? So from here up to here, you can now identify. So this is the line which you make it I. So I now 67. It is referring to the 67. It's referring to this line number. So the line number between steps atom and loop time is this and this. So it should be, this line should be one line after steps, and the last line should be one line before. Okay, so that means the line where you should read on should be this one plus 1. It should be minus 1. So I'll call this number to be begin, and then I'll call this number be n. Okay, n is, so I'm going to begin and end, meaning that these are the line number should begin and where the block number should. Okay, so 6 is should be referring to the line number this, and then 66 should refer to this line, right? So those raw data were lying between the first line and the last line called out correctly to check that this and raw data line 66 line 66 should give me, and the raw data 60 should give this. So if this is true, that means my code has been correct lah. So I'm going to say raw data and this is what I expect. Okay, so raw data 66, 60, And this is showing you that these are the if statements allows me to identify the beginning of a line, the first block. Okay, then you have the second block that begins here and ends here. And what is the line number? In the second block, the line number is about 125 in Python. And 71 in Python. So 171 is this number, and this is 25. So this refers to the beginning and end of the first block, beginning and end of the second block, beginning and end of the third block. Okay, so the numbers of blocks can be then counted in this way. So how do you count the numbers of blocks? And numbers of blocks can be counted if first time, right? When you encounter the first steps, we first encounter the steps right here, then second time, the second, this number of block plus 1, and the block you assign the block to be 0. So this block is a counter. It will be incremented if and first block. When enter second time, the block become 2, right? So how many blocks are there? So there are roughly 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so the number of blocks should be added. Maybe I should add the block because the block should count from 0, okay? So I will only add in the block after this loop. So I put it here instead of putting it here. There is a, but I would explain to this later. Right, is the end of the block. So the number of blocks should increase. The beginning of the first block, print the numbers of block, yeah, when it enters here. So just to show something, okay, maybe I should just print out the block, yeah. If statements, print block. Okay, so this block number 1. So block number 1 begins from 6 to 61. Block number 2 begins from here to here. But I should be very careful, right? So the block should be counting from 0, not counting from 1. I think this is better. So in Python, as you mentioned, we count the item from 0 or from 1. So this should be referring to the 0. Then this should be referring to block number 1. So I would increment the block by 1 only at the end. So the will be printed here is before it gets implemented. Right. So this is block. So I would like to further assign the begin step loop steps with an index called block. Right. So the first block begins from 60 and 66. It should be the beginning of block 0, end of block 0. The beginning of block 1, end of block 1. The beginning of block 2 and the end of block 2, right? So I should then assign the begin with an index called block, okay? So I would then add in an index of block, and then I will add in the index of block n, so that I can recall the begin and end of a given block easily. But since I assign the end and begin variables with an index block. That means the begin variable and the end variable, END, is now become an array. So you have to then assign begin to be an array, which is empty in the beginning. And how many elements should that array be? Right. So the array begins has a dimensions according to number of blocks. So dimension should be 6. Right. So it should be 6. We have known this from by counting this raw data. There are roughly 6 blocks. But before you count the numbers of blocks, you don't know, right? So how many side, well, what is the dimensions of the begin block is at this stage unknown until you count it, right? So you don't know how to assign the begin, the array. So you just now create an empty array that is at least large enough to contain the begin. Right? So the begin is an array that will find block 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If that's then you start, then the begin in 0, begin 1, begin 2, begin. But before you know how many numbers of block there, you just assign to be some big number. So I would multiply this with LR. LR is the largest number because it refers to numbers of data. So assign to be a large array. Now, if the array is not used, then it's fine, just leave it blank. So I'm going to assign the begin to be an empty array, and also the end also as an empty array. So because the building, the error list I'm out of range, the begin of the block. So when I assign the block, I think it should be empty, isn't it? EMPTY, what I write there? Downside none. Okay, none. It's not like this. It's in NONE. So I'm going to write this to be a empty none. So there's a lot of none. So some problem I have. So the end and begin is none. Block 0. So but in of block into my code. Okay, hopefully that thing will not fine. Okay, so now it looks like I am okay. So I will say this. I'm going to print out not this one. I'm not going to print out this one, but I'm going to print out the block and the begin end of block. Now it looks good. This printout tells me for block 0, it begins at 60 and end is 66. For block 1, it begins with 128, 25, and end is 170. Now to test the data, let me print out the raw data. Say for block number 2, then it should be 204. This should be the beginning of the third block. I get this number. How do I know if this raw 205 is the beginning of the block? Now you can do that testing by thinking. Now if I make some stupid mistake that 204 is not the line number for the beginning of block number label 2, then if I make a mistake, when I type 203, then what do you expect? If I has been correct, the 203 should be a line before the beginning of the block. 204 is the beginning of the block, right? So let's check. Right. This is 204, not this one. 4. Okay, so 204 should be something like this. So if I correctly identify the line number, then I should see 204 should be a line that starts with 5,001, 50,001, and the line before that should be not a number. So what I'm saying is that an easy way is the beginning of the line is, of course, you print out that line and then you print out one line before. But if I'm correct, I would not see a row of line number Yeah, this is correct. This is expect, right? One line before the beginning of the block. This is the beginning of the block. Before the block should be line number. Now, if this is 255, so 255 is supposed to be. When I press this, I should see a line of 9 number. And if this is the end of the block, when I press 226, which is one line beyond the block, I should see something. I should see outside the block. Right. So I press and check. Yes, indeed, I expect to see a line which is outside the. So I have checked this line is indeed containing the beginning of block number 2 and end of block number 2. I'm demonstrating to you when you try to extract the beginning and the end of a block, and you is begin and end, you should try to print out the extracted data, verify indeed the extractions that you've done is correct. So what you have done here is that you have correctly extracted the line number of the blocks begin and after. So now you are almost there. So what you can do is that you exit the if loop and you do over again. So what you do is that you do the block, right? So you start from block. How many blocks are there? There are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The number of block is actually given by BLOCK. The block will be printed out on the screen is the last number that exceeds the well, really, but when you finish the block, you add increment to it, right? So block is 6. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks. Yes, there are 6 blocks. So you run for B in from 0 to 6. Then you print out the beginning of begin of block B, and you also print out the end of block B. Right. So just to check that closes print begin B and block B. This object is callable block B. Okay, so there should be B. There should be B. So in this block, I'm looping not over I for every single line of raw data, the block. So by doing this, I'm able to extract the block and then the third block. So all the values of the beginning and end of the block has been captured in begin B. So now we are almost there. So what you do is you write another loop for I in range B and end B. So for I, this is a two loop thing, right? So first of all, you loop over the numbers of block, which is from 0 to 5. Then in every block, you know the beginning line number of the block and end of the block, the end of the block. Then you print out block, and then you print out the raw data at line I. So that will print out the block number and also the 9 numbers in each block, right? All will be printed out. So I'm going to press the button and I'm going to see all the block 0 up to block 5. The line will be printed out one by one. And each line will have 9 number, right? So this is coming from the 0 block. Then this comes from the first block. Right? The first block go all the way up to here. Okay, so this is the first block and this is the second block. So by doing that, I'm now able to extract the values of the raw data in each block. Right? So this will tell me which block that, and this is raw data. Okay, so I'm almost there. What I want is that I want is just the data and also the temperature, kinetic energy, and enthalpy. Only this column, right? So what I am concerned about is out of this 9 number, I want to only extract this number. I want to extract, so I don't want this. This B is the number of block. Okay, so the number of block is not really that matter. So let me skip printing the block number. So this is the data that I have been able to extract. So what I want is I want to extract this number, I want to extract this number, and I want to extract this number. So column 0, column 2, column 3 are steps, temperature, maybe not pressure. So the potential energy is this, so not the pressure. Okay. So I want to extract 0 column, second column, and this column. Okay. So how do you extract? It looks like I can extract the first column because I have extracted the. So let me print out the first column. First column should show me 0, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, etc. So if I print out the 0 column, this is what I want. Do I get the output? No, I won't get the output. Okay. When I press the button, you got this. Now, what happened? Can anyone tell me what happened? So I can print out the whole line, but it looks like I cannot print out the first column. I can't even print out the second column. The reason is because the whole line here is, let me check. Raw data I that is being shown here, raw data I, say raw data I, choose a number that is lying between there, maybe 2, whatever, 275. Print out the raw data 275. So raw data is actually a whole line number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all enclosed inside a string. That's why you cannot print out only the 0 column. You can't. Okay. So what you need again is to split it. Right. So you split it. Then you get this. Right. So once you split it, then you can print out the 0th component. Let me print it out. So I'm going to print out the 0th component. So this is the 0th component. So maybe I should just say print. Okay, print out the 0th component, and this is the output here. Okay, if I want to print out the, say, the 3rd component, then I just say 3rd component. So to extract the columns, I have to split. Okay, I have to split the data. So I'm going to split the data using the delimiter, which is the default delimiter. The default delimiter is the white space. Right? So by doing that, I'm going to be able to extract each line split into a separate column. There are 9 of them. I'm going to the 0th column. Okay, so that allows me to print out the number for the 0th column, which is the steps. So in order to extract the 3rd column, I just type 3. Right, in order to print out the 5th, 0, 1, 2. I think the 2nd column is like this. So to make my life easier, I'm going to define some dummy which is just to evaluate the raw data I, which has been splitted. Then I'm going to define my temperature, well, steps to be just the 0th component in the dummy. And what else? So the dummy, this temperature is a second component. Okay, so temperature, TMP, is the second component in this. And what else I need is the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pressure. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the fourth one is the potential energy. Okay, the fourth one is potential energy. So sign PE stands for potential energy, temperature stands for the dummy. So I'm be able to then correct the steps. Okay, so let me print out a step. Print out potential line by line. Okay, so these are all the potential energy which I be able to collect. Okay, so but it's not done because I want to print all steps, all temperature versus all steps, right? So there is something that I need to do. So I need to collect all the steps into one array. I want to collect all temperature in one array, all potential energy into one array. So there are many ways how you can do that. So for example, you can append the steps into, you can append steps when I is 1 step, when I is equal to 2, append. So you append to append the steps. But another way is like this. This is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do is that I'm going to say count 2 again. So I'm going to increment count by 1. Okay, count 2 by 1. This is my usual way. So I declare a counter which is set to be 0 in the beginning. So in the beginning count is 0. And I'm going to increment the count only after I have done everything, right? So you always increment the count in a for loop afterwards, because the count has to begin from 0. So I'm going to assign the steps to be count 2. So again, I'm going to assign steps temperature to be an array or a list, and also to be a list. So I promote the steps temperature and PE into an array. Then I'm going to collect all this temperature in the form of an array. So since I do that, I then have to also declare that this is an empty array. And then how many size of the empty array is that? The size of the empty array is just equal to the number of block. Don't know what is it. I think it is just a number of block. It is B multiplied with number of block multiplied with so it is the number that how many total numbers of lines are there in the blocks of the data. So you don't know what you know can, but it takes you some time to count. So what you do is just type LR. LR stands for the length of the raw data, right? So it's a big number. So the length of the raw data will be large enough for you to declare the size of the steps, right? So just assign a large number to the empty array of temperature and also to the potential energy. Now give me a few more minutes and let me finish this, and I think I need some time. It looks like again now there's a lot of none because the print here has not been properly assigned the index for the array of these steps, temperature and PE count, right? So I have now able to collect the value for steps, temperature, and PE for count starting from 0 count 2. Okay, so it seems like I have been able to copy all the count. Then what I do now is that I'm going to say steps array is an array that I collect for all steps for I in count 2, okay, in range count 2. So this will generate the array of steps. So, then I also will generate not steps only, but also temperature, TEMP array, and this should be TEMP, and also the PE, and this is PE. Okay. Looks like I have done almost everything. Now it's time, it's moment of truth. So I claim that I have collected all the array, all the values of steps, all the values of temperature, of potential energy into the array, and I'm going to plot it. Okay, so PLT, just test PLT plot, plot what? So let me plot steps, steps as a x coordinate, temperature ARR. Okay, it doesn't work. Why is it doesn't work? T is not defined because I have not defined PLT, so I have to import. Okay, import matplotlib as PLT. Matplotlib plot as PLT. I get no module matplotlib PLT. So I forgot how to matplotlib. Okay, I think sometimes I just skip. So matplotlib plot, okay, plot, not plot. So it should be plot. Not getting okay. Matplotlib plot. Why is that not showing anything? Run again. Matplotlib. Nah, it doesn't show. Why is that doesn't show? Lines. Anyone can tell me what happened? Okay, just like this. A point. No, it's not showing. So something bad has happened. Like happened. So I'm just going to do some simple troubleshooting. PE step ARR. Okay, something bad has happened. I think step ARR is like this. So I have to convert it into number. See, all the values of ARR that I have collected, all the steps and the temperature I have collected, they are all actually string. Like you see, these are all string, but they are not number. So I have to convert the string number. These steps is dummy. The raw data split. When you enter the raw data and you split it, all the individual entry in the data are just string. For example, dummy. When you print out the dummy, you see that these are all in the form of string. Right? So you have to convert the numbers into. Right? So I have not done that, so I should do it here. So I should say this is a float, FLAT. So I copy this one, then I think then it should work. So I convert the values that I extracted from the dummy to be a number. Right? So it works now. So it takes more than. So this is the plot for our log lamps. No, so this is how the temperature profile changes respect to time. So this is a time, or steps is just a time. And at different time steps, the temperature is like equivalent at 0, then it goes to 300 degrees, which is room temperature. Then it steps for not some extended period of time. Then it ramp up to 400 degrees, and then it's equivalent at 400 degree Kelvin. So this is the idea. So you can also try to plot another, say for example, potential energy versus temperature. Okay, so this is temperature, ERR, then this is what you see. potential energy versus temperature. So it looks like this. No, this is not right because it combined both graphs together. So I don't want to print the temperature and potential. So this is how the potential energy change respect to the temperature. Okay, so I think there's a name for this. I forgot what is it. Okay, so that's how you extract data from a given log file. Okay, so if you look at assignment, so I think you'll not be able to do assignment. If you look at the assignment, let me go back here. I ask you to do, it has more than do at the moment. Assignment 13 is slightly more because I'm supposed to finish part, and I'm going to talk about how to make a conversions and then display it. But it looks like it is much more complicated. Okay, so you would not be able to do the assignment that I gave you. So I'm going to extend the assignment for another week. So in the assignment, you are supposed to go through this conversion first before you can do it. Right. So we only need to cover this part, so it's not enough for you to do the assignment. So at the moment, if you want to try, you can try to look at the assignment and you do it if you want to, but it's not necessary. I'm going to extend the assignment because you are not having enough knowledge yet. So next lecture will be the last lecture. We're going to talk a little bit more on and finish this part, how to do a conversion of format. If you want, you can study it first, and then this will be the last chapter. When you finish the covering how to code this conversion, you'll be able to do assignment 13 and probably assignment 14. Okay, so the assignment you are not supposed to submit. I'm going to extend this assignment for maybe another 3 days, 4 days. Okay. Any questions you want to ask, you can ask me privately. If you don't like to, ask it here. I hope that today you learn something. You have to read and you do the conversion. And then there are some exercises for you to do in the assignment later. Questions, then I'll see you this coming Friday. There will be able for us to cover the rest of the lecture material. Okay.